Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Friday. Welcome to Peter's Movie Club, which I announce a new movie every Friday that we're going to watch for the upcoming week. And then I also do a reaction to the movie from the previous week. And all the movies that I'm picking over here have some kind of nostalgic factor to me, or are a movie that I loved back in the day, or that I remembered still to this day and I recommend to people and things like that. So all the movies that I am talking about over here, so far, all the movies that I've picked, and I continue to plan to do this, are found on Tubi. No, this is not sponsored by Tubi. I wish. Tubi is a free streaming app that anybody can download, and it is free and it is available in Mexico, Canada, the United States, the UK, and parts of Europe, and it is moving across the world. And they have a lot of TV shows, they have a lot of movies, they have old TV shows, new TV shows, they have live TV over there as well. So if you're looking for a really affordable, it's free, it's completely free. You can sign in and make an account, but you don't have to. You can just go, look up Tubi and go watch a movie. I don't think you have to have an account to watch a movie. But I'm trying to pick all the movies from there because then they are more accessible for other people to watch the movies as well. But most of the movies that I'm picking, you can find on other streaming apps like, HBO or Netflix and things like that, or Amazon and Apple TV. Many of these movies that I'm picking are also on YouTube. So, before I get into this week's movie that I'm going to announce for this week, I don't even know what the movie is. I screenshot 5 movies. I think it was 5 or 6 movies last night. And I'm like, okay, when I get in the video today, I will just see what I feel like I want to watch in the next week. I have 5 very different movies that I have screenshot. So I will tell you guys what all 5 of the movies are, and then I will pick a movie. I'm kind of leaning towards one of them. So, but I will announce at the end of the video what movie is for this week for Peter's Movie Club. I just have to tell you, I have a friend of mine, my friend Nikki. So she and her husband have movie nights on the weekends, and so last weekend they watched this week's movie, which was Set It Off, and she's like, I'm loving these nostalgic movies and stuff, and so she was like, can you pick Dangerous Minds? And I was like, well, Dangerous Minds isn't on Tubi. And so we were I was texting her what the different movies were that I was picking last night and stuff like that. So I've had a couple people reach out to me, and they're like, oh, my mom and I, we watch your movies every weekend, and other people have been reached out to me and been like, oh, I'm just loving that you're doing these nostalgic movies. These are movies that I would probably never, watch again. And what's interesting about this is that a lot of these movies are movies that I had kept a list for years on my phone of movies that I always wanted to watch again. And a lot of these movies are on there. And they're literally movies that I kind of never thought that I would ever watch again in my life. But, I always say after I watch a movie, I ask myself, do you ever want to watch this movie, or are you good? And many of them, I'm like, yeah, I could watch it again, but if I don't, I'm fine. But then there's other movies that I've watched that I'm like, if I never see this movie again, I'm good. I've seen it enough. I have a very nostalgic attachment to movies. I grew up with both my parents loving movies and watching movies, and so I have a very nostalgic attachment, especially to certain movies at certain times remind me of certain things. And so a lot of these movies remind me of periods of my life. And so it's weird as I've gotten older. I'm like, well, I don't know that I'll ever watch this movie. I don't know why this movie keeps on going through my head as I'm telling the story, but an example of this is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I actually bought a couple years ago, because I have it saved on I'm pointing to my phone, but I have it saved, And so, cause I can remember as a kid, my mom loved that movie. And, I don't think I ever watched it fully until I was in middle school or something like that, cause it's so incredibly long, right? But I can remember watching Close Encounters of a Third Kind and just being completely mesmerized the first time I watched it. That's a movie that reminds me a lot of my childhood, but I don't think that people would necessarily think of that as a movie that reminds you of your childhood, right? Because, I don't know, maybe some people do, but I can just remember my mom watching it, and it was all the lights were off, and it seemed very scary to me. It was one of the early movies. I remember seeing King Kong for the first time. That movie terrified me, the one with Jessica Lange, that version, and it terrified me when I saw it. And it's interesting, movies in retrospect that scared me. So the movie for this week was Set It Off, and it came out in 1996. And I have to be honest with you, I don't know the last time that I saw this movie. I don't really remember a lot about this movie. It's with Vivica Fox and Jada Pinkett Smith and Queen Latifah, and there's some other people, and Blair Underwood's in there and things like that. I had forgotten, number one, how good this movie is. I remember saying in my video last week, like, the soundtrack, and I have to tell you, I forgot about, like, I remember them sitting on the roof smoking a blunt or something like that, and I thought it was Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony, but that's not actually the song. It's like Going Home or something. The Days of Our Lives is what it's called. And I had forgotten about the Brandy song at the very end of the movie that's like, missing you, oh na na. I had forgotten about that song. That song was like a big like hit back in the day when this movie came out. The soundtrack to this movie was so good, but what I have to tell you is that, number one, I forgot how good of a movie it was. Number two, how sad of a movie it is. I remember, like, Nikki had texted me and she's like, do you remember how it ends? And I was like, I remember that. If you haven't watched all my videos, I spoil what we talk about in here. So anyway, but I was like, I remember that they all die but one of them. And, but I don't remember who the one is. I actually thought it was Vivica Fox that makes it, but it's not. And so I was like, I remember how it ends, but I don't remember, like, the specifics of it. I don't remember what happens. And it's like this, like, they're robbing all these banks, and the bank robbery goes wrong. But what I also didn't really remember, honestly, was that what an important movie it was, especially at that time in 1996 when it came out. And we're really talking about a movie that's really about the empowerment of black women. And it's really, really an important movie, in retrospect, looking back on it at the time that it came out. It was really, like, years ahead of itself. And it was so good. Queen Latifah is fantastic in it, and I just loved this movie. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I was like literally like inconsolably bawling when Queen Latifah gets killed. So if you guys don't know what it's about 4 women, and they like have been like screwed over by the system some way, some part of the system, some way or another, and so they're really struggling, and so they decide, and this one girl's brother, he gets mistaken for somebody that actually robbed this bank, and because of like having his like hair like shaved a certain way, and so the police kill him, and so that's kind of, and he was supposed to go to college, all this kind of stuff, but then that's like the incentive that kind of like sets it off, like we're done, like that's not the meaning of set it off in the movie. But anyway, actually, I thought it was Queen Latifah that said set it off, but it's actually Vivica Fox that says set it off at first in the movie. But Vivica Fox at the beginning of it is working for this bank, and the bank gets held up. And because she knows this one guy that lives in the projects that she was raised in, that the owners of the bank connect her to the robbery and think she's part of it. So they fire her for it. And there's like all these different things that happen. This woman that they're friends with, it's part of like the 4 of them. She, like her baby gets taken away because she brings her baby to this cleaning job that they're doing. And the baby like drinks this cleaner. And then he gets poisoned. And so child care services take him away and all this kind of stuff. The movie is so tragic and sad because it's really like, I mean, it is today and it is yesterday, and depicts, it's just so sad, you know? And I think that it does a really, really good job of painting a picture of not only of living conditions, but also the stress anxiety that goes along with those living conditions. And it just was fantastically done. I have to be honest with you. Like I said, I was literally bawling when I was watching Queen Latifah part. So they decided they're going to rob banks, and they're robbing all these banks, but then they decide that they're going to rob this one bank, and it's going to be like a massive thing, and the bank robbery goes wrong, and one of them gets shot, and they pull her out, and they're going, down the street, and then she dies, and they change cars, and Queen Latifah, they're going through this tunnel, and she says, get out, to Vivica Fox, and Jada Pinkett Smith, I'm like, I can't think of their names, I'm like, she tells them to get out, and so they get out, and they like escape through the other side, because they think all 3 of them are still in the car, so she drives out, well, the police are shooting up the car, and you think she's dead, and she gets out, and she just starts like shooting everybody. That scene, and the music they play, is so sad. I mean, it is so sad. Vivica Fox, when she's killed, it's so sad, and then it ends with Jada Pinkett Smith, and she's in Mexico, and it ends with her calling Blair Underwood, who she had like a romantic relationship with. He was like the manager of the bank they robbed, and her thanking him for all this. But anyway, it just was so tragic and so sad. I have to be honest with you, I've kind of like mixed feelings. Like I got to the end of it, I was like, would I watch it again? I would watch it again. I didn't remember but I would have to be in a specific mood. Last night when I watched it, for those of you that watch my videos regularly, like we've been having a lot of stuff going on with our little dog and stuff like that. I was really kind of in a sad state anyway. I mean, I felt better yesterday because we had this vet appointment yesterday that went better. And so I was feeling better, but like, I don't know, I felt like so raw and emotional, and watching that movie, I just like cried through the whole movie. I literally just cried through the whole movie. Yeah, it was good. They were all so good in it, but I forgot how good Queen Latifah was in it. She was fantastic in it. So that was the movie for last week, Set It Off. Now the movie for this week, let me get in here and get into my receipts, Whitney. Oh, here's the Fenty Hair by Rihanna that I'm wanting to try. Probably coming soon to a haul. Okay, let's get in here and see. Oh, happy Friday the 13th, by the way. I have that, Friday the 13th. Do you remember last year we watched all the Friday the 13th movies leading to that? Okay, let's go in here and see. Oh my god. Oh, so many good movies. Okay, I guess I have actually like 6 movies. So, Suburbia is one. I'm trying to like, okay, this is the other thing. I'm trying to not pick like scary movies for like another week or two. And I'm not talking about just horror movies. I'm talking about thrillers too. I have like 7 or 8 movies that I want to pick through like September to like November. And then like the middle of November, I'm going to start holiday movies. There's a lot of them on there. I can tell you one of them will probably be the Jaclyn Smith movie, The Night We Saved Christmas, or The Day We Saved Christmas, or whatever, because I didn't realize it was on Tubi and I saw it. It was a made-for-TV movie. So Suburbia, I have on there, which is kind of an independent film, but I loved it so much. God, I want to watch that. Okay, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which I actually think I watched last year for the first time, or the year before. I loved it. I love it more now, looking back on it, than I did then, but I think I'll say that for Halloween. So, Poetic Justice, I saw come up. This is literally one of my favorite movies of life, with Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur. I love this movie so much. I feel like I need to wait a couple weeks to watch it. Emotionally, I just don't know that I can handle this movie this week, to be honest with you. And then Punchline with Sally Field and Tom Hanks, which is about stand-up comedians. That's like the one I'm leaning towards. Agnes of God. Oh my god, I love this movie so much, with Jane Fonda. It is so good if you guys have never seen it before. But that one I feel like is more of a winter movie. It takes place at wintertime. And then Desperately Seeking Susan with Rosanna Arquette and Madonna. I love that movie so much. And then Hoosiers, which I know is kind of a weird movie that you guys would think like, oh, Peter likes Hoosiers because it's about basketball. It's about a town in Indiana. My mom actually went to that basketball game. You know what? I mean, it's sports season. Schools are back. Let's watch Hoosiers this week. Let's watch Hoosiers. It's an hour and 55 minutes. It came out in 1986. A man gets a last chance at redemption by coaching a small-town Indiana high school basketball team and bring his team to the 1951 state championships. So, my mom graduated in 1961. My aunt graduated in 1959 from Broad Ripple High School, where the championship was at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Well, I don't know if it was called that, but it was Hinkle Fieldhouse at Butler University. My mom and my aunt both went to that game. And so, like, growing up, I love, okay, I am not a lover of sports. I think we know this, but I love sports movies. I love, like, Rudy, which actually took place at Notre Dame in Indiana. I love Hoosiers. I love The Blind Side. I love, like, any sports movies. I used to watch that show back in the day on MTV called Two-A-Days. I love, like, sports movies and sports TV shows, but I do not love, like, watching sports whatsoever. So this will be interesting. It's actually not the movie that I thought I was going to pick this week. So out of the other ones that I mentioned, Desperately Seeking Susan, Agnes of God, Punchline, Poetic Justice, we're going to save Elvira for Halloween, and Suburbia. Suburbia is so good, you guys. I haven't watched that in forever. I'm like, should I make this a double feature? But I'm watching and binge watching so many TV shows right now that I can't do that because I'm trying to get done with Sister Wives this week. So let's just keep this week on Hoosiers. And if I get caught up on my TV shows, then next week might be a double feature. So anyway, this week's movie is Hoosiers. You can find it on Tubi. You can probably find it other places as well. And I live in Indiana, and you know what you call somebody that lives in Indiana? A Hoosier. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.